What's up, boys? MKTV here. Welcome back, channel. Welcome back to another video. Today we do have my Game Week 1 upgraded draft. If you do enjoy, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. Without further ado, let's hop straight in things. So in net, we do have Andrew Onana of Manchester United. I've had him in all my drafts. I've talked about him a lot. Really good progressive passing numbers. On for bonuses as well when he does, keep clean sheets, and the passes will obviously contribute to that. Coming in at 5 million in the Manchester United defence, really good option. I've him in net, and that's why he's a really good option. And yeah, really like the look of him going into the season. The next player in the defence, the first defender we do have in here is going to be Pervis Estupiñán. One of the first names on the team sheet for me. He's really good value at 5 million. Opposes that attacking threat down the left hand side for Brighton. Looks pretty much nailed on. I don't see much rotation, maybe until the Europa League comes around for Brighton. And yeah, I just think he's a really good defender, really essential, top-owned defender in FPL at the moment. Why wouldn't you go for him? Cover your options, see how you go. Obviously, if you don't have the funds, you can go for someone like 4.5 like Veltman, but I do think he's the best option in the Brighton defence. And yeah, really good option in Estupiñán. The next player we're going to be talking about is going to be Rico Henry. Now, this is a little bit different, the fact I've started him. He does have Spurs at home in the first game, obviously gets into the Brentford defence. If you've watched Brentford in pre-season, he has looked really good. He's down the left-hand side, and he's really attacking for Brentford. He kind of plays left wing at times, gets up really far, gets in behind the left winger in times and stuff. So he's really good there. Got a few assists in pre-season. And just looks really promising. Looks like a really good player. Got a few assists last season. Gets into the Brentford defence as well, which is a strong defence last season. Hopefully they can keep it up this season. And yeah, at 4.5 million, a really good option in my opinion, and does save kind of money instead of going for the likes of John Stones or someone at 5.5. And I think Rico Henry as well should be pretty much nailed on in that Brentford defence as well. So I've gone with him in defence as my second defender, and I do have someone on the bench that I am going to be rotating with him, and I think they really look. Their kind of fixtures rotate really well, so do stick around as well to see the other defender I have picked. That's going to be rotating with Henry. And let's move on to defender number 3. So defender number 3 is going to be Gabriel of Arsenal, and I do think he is the best way to get into the Arsenal defence. Obviously coming in at 5 million as well, a really good option. His attacking threat for headers and set pieces, absolutely out of this world. Second amongst all defenders last season, which is a very impressive stat. And yeah, in the Arsenal defence as well, they were shaky at times last season. But obviously Saliba back from injury now as well. He was injured for a large portion of last season. So I do think that will help Arsenal in defence this season. And I think Gabriel is very good option at 5 million. And really is one I'm happy with. I keep putting him in my draft. Pretty much nailed on for me in my draft so far. Will that change? We will see. But that is going to be the defence. Obviously, I have another defender on the bench. It is a 4 million defender. We'll get to that as well when we get to the bench. But yeah, let's move on to the midfield. So the first midfielder we are going to be going with is going to be a Eberechi Eze of Crystal Palace. Now, this is one I have he's been in and out of drafts for me. I think he's a really good option. You look at the fixtures as well. It starts with Sheffield United away. And the way I've done this draft, I have Eze, another player as well in the midfield, and I do have a forward that I do kind of rotate based on fixtures. I've kind of planned that out, and I'm actually really happy with it. The way this works, there's 3 players that are kind of, will rotate depending on fixtures. I have my nailed on players like the likes of maybe Arsenal midfielder, a Man United midfielder, Haaland obviously, and I just have then the odd players, kind of the little bit of differentials based on fixtures. I will play them, and kind of they rotate really nicely with fixtures for the first, say, 10 weeks or so, up until about then. Obviously, it may not work perfectly, but I've Eze in here for now, coming in at 6.5 million on penalties for Crystal Palace. Really good player, and probably Crystal Palace's star player. Now the fact that Wilfried Zaha has left for Galatasaray. And yeah, I just think he's a really good option in Eze, and he's going to play every single week, so it is a bit of security there as well. But yeah, I've gone with Eze as my first midfielder. Let's see what we have at second. So the next midfielder I do have is going to be Phil Foden. Now again, this could be a little bit of a controversial one, considering his minutes are not guaranteed with Pep Roulette and all that kind of thing as well. Pep likes to change his midfielders every so often. But yeah, coming in at 7.5 million, I think he's very good value for the start of the season, especially for even the first 5-6 weeks. If he does get some minutes in the tank, if he does play a lot of games, he will score goals. We've seen that throughout the last season and the season before. He's one of the most attacking players for City when he does play on the left wing, through the centre, wherever it may be. And the fact that Riyad Mahrez is left as well, I do think his minutes will go up, or should go up at least. And yeah, I just think he's a really good player when he does play. Obviously, he's not nailed on in this team for me now, but I think he's a really good option as well. Coming in at 7.5 million, a little bit of a differential. Not, he's not 25% owned or something. He's around 14, I do believe, at the time of recording this video. And I just think Foden's a really interesting one. If he does get some minutes at the start of the season, could be a very good option. And he's my second option in midfield. The next player in around midfield is going to be Marcus Rashford. Now, he's probably the most nailed on midfielder in my team at the moment. minutes wise, all that kind of stuff. Plus every single draft I have, he's coming into it. He is a new one in this draft, but my recent drafts, he has been coming into them. It was between him and Bruno Fernandes, but I do believe the 0.5 million extra for Rashford could really be worth it this season. Obviously Manchester United as well have got the here we go from Fabrizio Romano for Rasmus Højlund. Hopefully I say that name right as well. So that could maybe kind of reduce Rashford's goal threat, but we will see. Off the left, when he does play, he seems to be better. So maybe Højlund could occupy up top, and obviously, you know, he won't play every game, but should take some minutes off some other players. But I do believe Rashford should be nailed on there as well. And yeah, the season he had last season, he was essential for most parts of last season. I think he's going to be essential this season a lot of the time. And yeah, I have him as my third midfielder at 9 million. It is a bit hefty, but I do think he does warrant that. The next player I do have is going to be Bukayo Saka of Arsenal. Penalty taker as well at the time of recording this video. He has missed one in pre-season and missed some last season. But overall, I do think he will stay on penalties for Arsenal. Coming in at 8.5 million as well. Really good attacking threat off the right wing. Should be pretty much nailed on for large parts of the season as well. Obviously, when Champions League comes into play and stuff, there could be rotation for absolutely every team. But I do think Saka is a really good option as well at 8.5 million. He's a most owned midfielder, so you do want to cover that as well if you are looking at, you know, keeping a template and adding in some differentials. But yeah, I've Bukayo Saka in there as my fourth midfield option, and it is going to be a 3-5-2 as well for the first formation, and for the most part of most weeks, I'd imagine. And finally, to wrap up the midfield, we do have Karo Mitoma of Brighton. And yeah, coming in at 6.5 million. I didn't have him in many drafts. I had Pascal Gross before, but after watching a bit of pre-season, it has kind of changed my mind a little bit. Mitoma is obviously very attacking, or Mitoma, I don't know how you pronounce that one. Let me know in the comments as well if I'm saying it right or wrong. But yeah, coming on the left wing as well, he looks very direct, very attacking player. Really like as well him for large parts of last season. And he, you know, he was essential at times as well, definitely. The only thing I would say, Mitoma and Gross, I do like his kind of penalty threat, the chance that he could be on penalties, and could be attacking at times. He always drifts up. I've seen him as well for large parts of last season. If he plays even right back, he drifts up and he could be striker in the next minute. It's really weird with that. But yeah, I'm kind of between Mitoma and Gross at the moment. I'm not really sure who I'm going to pick there. But yeah, he's just in there for now anyways. He's probably the one I'm favouring at the moment. But obviously that could change as well. But yeah, that is a midfield I do have. That's the 5 midfielders, the 3 defenders we're going with, and let's move on to the forwards. So the first forward I have gone with is going to be Gabriel Jesus of Arsenal. Again, he's kind of a weird one. I'm not fully certain on him, but at the same time, there isn't really much better forward options in my opinion. Obviously, the likes of Harry Kane, I would prefer to get in if he does stay at Spurs, but I just don't really, there's no guarantee there with his future at the moment. Every single time I get a midfielder or forward in, it is Gabriel Jesus and Haaland. And coming in at 8 million, you can't really, you can't turn it down. He's really good price for his price. And there's no one really around him, maybe bar Wilson, that I was kind of looking at, but I'm not really sure on the fixtures to start with for Newcastle. So I've gone with Jesus there. And I do like the look of his fixtures. Really good player as well. And hopefully we'll get some goals in the first few games. And finally, you guessed it, to wrap things up for the starting 11 for the game week 1, we do have Erling Haaland. 14 million price tag. He does warrant it. If you do not have him in your team, get him in your team. Absolute gem in FPL. He's always going to score. And obviously just an absolute machine last season. Broke records for goals. And he's just, someone you have to have in your team, in my opinion. I wouldn't dare go without him this season. I made it too many times last season, mistakes by leaving him out. But yeah, so that he's going to be playing every single week, obviously. Mostly my captain every single week as well, unless he's injured or does a double game week or something. But that is the starting 11. Let me know what you think of that. We are going to be moving on to the bench, and I do have some spicy bench options. I'm not going to lie. There's 1 or 2 on there that I really like. You may be thinking as well, this team doesn't, money-wise, doesn't really add up. Where's the money gone? The bench, we do have a little bit of money sitting on there. Let's take a look at the bench options. So we have gone on the bench for 3 players here. There is obviously Alphonse Areola, there's a goalkeeper, 4 million, not really. I just didn't think there was much point in popping him on there. But we do have Ollie Watkins as our first bench option. Now, 8 million as well, does rotate really nicely in my opinion, with the likes of Eze and Mitoma. So I'm going to be kind of rotating them to go from a 3-5-2. Probably this is the way I'll start it this season if I do stick with this draft. But even for the likes of game week 2, I might drop, I think Palace are playing Arsenal, so I might take Eze out and pop in Watkins, and maybe Matty Cash as well, rotating with the Brentford defender, Henry. So that's kind of the way I've gone with it. I've kind of gone for Baldock just because he doesn't have a blank in game week 2 if I needed to play him. Say, for instance, Foden is injured or can't play or whatever. For whatever reason, I'll pop in Baldock, or, you know, someone will get minutes. They all play on the bench, which is good. And Matty Cash as well in preseason has really, really impressed me. Some of the, obviously Ashley Young leaving Villa as well could really, really open the door for Matty Cash to be nailed on this season. Coming in at 4.5 million as well, I think it's a really good price. Again, I'm not fully set on Matty Cash and obviously Ollie Watkins. But at this current moment in time, I haven't been happier with a draft I've been able to put together. Watkins as well, really, really good player on penalties for Villa. Will always guarantee you game time. So worst case scenario, the likes of Foden doesn't play for whatever reason. He pops in there as well and will play for Villa if Foden doesn't come on, obviously. So yeah, he's a really good player to rely on for minutes. I do like that in a player. And you have to have some security of minutes as well in a team where you do have a few differentials that could backfire pretty quickly. But yeah, that is the team. It's 100 million. There's nothing in the bank, unfortunately, with that. But let me know what you think of the team, boys. Who would you change? I'm really, really happy with this draft at the moment. Obviously, it could change as you know time goes on and more signings are made closer to the deadline. We will have another look at it again. But I'm kind of just going to keep you updated weekly on what I'm doing with my draft. Let me know if you want to see any more videos, boys. If you have enjoyed, smash that thumbs up on the subscribe as well. Trying to hit 5k on the channel, which will be absolutely amazing this season. And yeah, drop a like, subscribe. We'll catch you boys next time with the next one. And peace.